books, I am a champion of the books I hate because it is so important to be able to read
Mm.
those books that are not my books. They're not books I love the ideas behind, but being able to read them is so crucial. And I have learned more probably from the books I hate than from the books I love.
Hi, Terri Gillespie here, and welcome to A2A, Author to Author with Terri. And I am so excited about this month's featured author. But I wanted to say, first of all, hi to my regular viewers and any new viewers. Welcome. We hope this is some place that you'll come for information on some great authors. So Roseanna will be here in just a minute, but in the meantime, do a little housekeeping, which is ask if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit that red subscribe button, and when the white bell pops on, click that too, and you won't miss any future episodes. And we've got some great interviews and some great reviews on books as well. So also be sure to like, comment, and share. We really want to promote Roseanna White's most recent book, The Collector of Burned Books. And I can't wait to talk to Roseanna about this book because it was mind candy. I mean, it's historical romance, but it is so much more. So, one of my dearest friends actually wrote an endorsement for the book, and I have to read this. Rarely have I read a book with such perfect tension, meticulously researched, intellectually and spiritually stimulating, compelling, and beautifully written. Roseanna M. White has written a book I could not put down and one I will not forget. And that was written by Kathy Golke, who's also a best-selling award-winning author and also a Christie Hall of Famer. So let's not wait any longer and welcome Roseanna M. White. So welcome, Roseanna.
Hello, Terri. It's so great to be here and get to chat with you.
I've been looking forward to this, really have been looking forward to this.
I'm so excited to finally be talking about this book with it. I mean, I've been talking about it for a year and a half, but to be talking about it, knowing it's here, it's in the world, it's real. So excited.
It's just so good. I can't wait, dear viewers, for you to hear more about this. So Roseanna, you are one busy lady, and with homeschooling, with editing, with book cover design, I'd like to hear more about that. How do my viewers and my readers keep in touch with you?
Yeah, so my whole world revolves around my website when it comes to, my author world. So you can always find me at roseannamwhite.com. There you can sign up for my newsletter. You will get a free read if you do that. And I send out a weekly newsletter, so you get all the updates as I go of any sales
Weekly?
going on, sure, what new things are coming. You get title reveals and cover reveals earlier than anyone else. And also you just get everyone's favorite segment I call Let Me Tell You a Story. And it's just maybe something going on in my life this week or just my reflections. It might be about the thing I'm writing and the process of writing. It's just a little peek into the mind and the world of Roseanna. So that goes out weekly. On my website, you can also find a lot of behind the scenes for my books. I still do a blog twice a week there. You can find that and just lots of information. I've got recipes. I've got a shop where you can buy my signed copies and also just bookish things. So book themed this and that. And yeah, lots of fun stuff. So I am definitely busy. I am going to have to update my bio though, because my youngest just graduated from homeschool in May. So I am no longer homeschooling for the first time in 15 years. So
Oh my
it's crazy.
goodness. Oh
I
my
know.
goodness. Yeah.
And he finished up a year early, so he totally threw off all of my calculations.
That just means you did a good job, mommy.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And he did a good job. He took the prerogative and was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to finish this year." I'm like, "Cool. You do that, kid."
Yeah. Our daughter, we just homeschooled for a year, planning on 2 years, but she ended up taking her GED her junior year. So, yeah, when they
Yeah.
wanna, they do it.
Yeah. When they apply themselves, they can get it done.
Well, all the links that you're talking about, including social media too, will be down below in the description section, including your very active website. And
Yes.
I'm still trying to get over the fact that you do a newsletter once a week.
I will say I have help. I have a virtual assistant, Rachel, who is amazing. So we have built a template for what we put in the newsletter,
Mhm.
and I send her all the pieces and she constructs them every week. So I do nothing alone. I am blessed to have wonderful support everywhere. So
Yeah.
family
Well,
at home, Rachel in the online world, yeah, makes a difference.
yeah, my daughter's my VA, so she excels in graphics. She's incredible. Okay, so as I said, all those links will be down below in the description section, including the link to purchase this newest book, The Collector of Burned Books. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Let me see yours. The color's different. Oh, yours is the act.
It's it's the real one and it's the hardcover. They sent me a couple hardcovers.
Oh,
So it
nice.
happened to be on top, so I grabbed one. That's what I had in hand.
Yeah, the first time I published, I had a book jacket too. And first thing I did is it's just like I took it off and I just smelled it. And it was just like taking your baby when you first have your baby and you unwrap the baby and count all the toes and everything. It was kind of,
Yeah, yeah, we had to do that and check out the foiling on the cover and ooh, shiny, yeah.
yeah, wonderful. Now, before we started this interview, we had some great conversations about your book, but this book, it's historical fiction. It's World War II. It's set in Paris, France. And I
Mhm.
didn't know that Paris was considered the city of libraries. I had,
I didn't until I was doing this research either. I mean, we usually hear the City of Lights, and it is,
yeah.
but there are so many libraries in Paris. And when I was reading the research books on specifically World War II Paris, and the fact that there were library protectors sent in to take over the Parisian libraries, and just reading about how it was a city of readers. And so this profoundly affected a lot of people, the fact that they were coming in and shutting libraries down or dismantling collections, sending valuable books back to Germany, taking out any that were verboten, forbidden.
Mhm.
So yeah, huge city of libraries.
It's fascinating. And then to be able, because it was a city of readers, the main character is a professor,
Mhm.
and her class is intended to really delve into ideas, and
Yeah.
which is not what Nazis would do. It was,
Right.
you had a very rigid path, and that was it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, in my intro, I read Kathy Golke's endorsement, and I don't think I could do it any better. But it is definitely a book that I, I read it almost a month ago, and I'm still felling over it. So I read the first chapter in my top picks, but I would love to have you choose a passage to read.
Well, we were chatting about this a little beforehand. I picked one from early on because that's my usual. So I picked one of the first times the hero and heroine really meet. And Terry was suggesting a later one that's a classroom scene. So
Yeah,
I don't know what to do
do
now.
the one that you chose, and
Okay,
that because this is a historical romance,
it
so
is.
we kind of need to meet the characters.
All right. So to give you a little, set the stage, Corinne is involved in intelligence gathering with her uncle, and she was just going through a decrypt and, writing codes down, and here's a knock at the door. So that's where we're picking up. She knows very well it's the Nazis who have come into the neighborhood. All right. Let's see. Where did I start? There we go. Seconds later, a knock landed on her door. She tried to remember all her uncle had taught her, tried to project an air of calm and coolness, to borrow his ease, to be the detached professional she was supposed to be. Her hands shook. Fine then. Forget professional. She would simply be a child determined to steal a chocolate without getting caught. Pretend it was a relative at the door. Coming, she called, as if it were only a neighbor in the hallway. And it could be. Perhaps someone had just returned and wanted to see if she was all right. She knew better. Still, she jolted a bit when she opened the door and reality assaulted her. She would never, never get used to Nazi uniforms in her city, on her streets, in her hallway. And the officer they called the professor shouldn't expect anything else. Besides, he looked even more surprised to see her than she was to see him. His brows crashed down, and he glanced at a paper in his hand. Pardon me, he said, his French as flowing and perfectly accented as it had been 3 weeks ago. Deceptive, that. Treacherous. His words said, I'm a friend, but it couldn't be more a lie. I'm looking for Madame Yvonne Bastien, or more particularly, I'm looking for books checked out in her name from the library next door. She clutched the door, keeping herself in the space to make it clear he was welcome no farther. My mother. She's not here, though, I'm afraid. The professor looked up again, his gaze softening. He was probably trying to sort out if she was young enough to need to live with her mother, to determine how forcefully he should speak. When will she be home? Her chin came up. Part of her wanted to lie, wanted to make him think Maman would be home any minute, and so not realize she lived here alone. But he was next door too much. He would know who came and went. He would catch her in that lie within days, if not the moment she spoke. Hard to say, given that she's not in Paris. He sighed and lowered the paper to his side. Forgive me then, but you must let me in. I most certainly must not. He looked as he held up his hands, palms out, like a nice man, with gold-wired spectacles and boring sandy hair. A respectable one. A trustworthy one, if one were stupid enough to ignore his uniform. And of all the things Corinne had been accused of being over the years, stupid wasn't one of them. I am only after the books checked out from the library, mademoiselle. Return those, and I promise you I will leave and never disturb you again. For the space of several heartbeats, she didn't move. How could she? How could she just let a Nazi into her home, even one whose face was all gentleness and respect? It was a show, nothing more. Though she wasn't ignorant enough to assume all Nazis were the same, the fact remained that this one had come to Paris specifically to rob the city of its literary heritage. By her definition, that made him more monster than man, which meant that if she didn't let him in, he'd just call his too eager for violence henchmen. Caution, mon chouchou, she could hear Uncle Georges saying in her head. She drew in a long breath, let it slowly out, and then swung open the door. Fine then, come in, but make it quick. He wouldn't, though. She knew he wouldn't, because the books he wanted weren't here.
Ooh, boy, she's got chutzpah. She is very. I mean, I don't know if I would sit there and argue, stand there and
I know.
argue.
And when people ask, what surprised you in the writing of this, it was this attitude of hers. I was not expecting that. Like when I wrote my synopsis, she's just, nice, bookish girl. And then she jumps onto the page and she's like, I'll show you. She's just all bold recklessness. Yeah.
She is, and the intellect
Yeah.
is just off the charts, and yet everything is plausible and everything. I mean, I have to ask Roseanna, what was the seed of this story? Was the seed of the story the idea of thought and translating thought to words, writing words, or was it the love story?
The library came first. When I learned about the historic library burn books, that's what started the whole idea.
Mhm.
And so when I thought, what story can I tell about this library? Because there are other authors out there telling the story of the library too, but they chose a very different path. I wanted to tell the story from my world perspective, and my writing always has like espionage and intelligence work in it. So I was like, okay, well, let's tie that in. So I need a heroine with secrets trapped in the library that is taken over by the Nazis. And then I really wanted to explore why it matters. Why did the Nazis come in and want to take over culture? Why did they want to take over the arts? Why did they want to take over the books and the libraries? And the answer is clearly because this is what changes culture. So
Yes.
there's a line in there where it says the books we read become the thoughts we think, and the thoughts we think become the actions we take. And that becomes who we are. So the ideas we interact with become our identity. And that has always been true. And the Nazis recognized it. And so it's so important that we recognize the importance of it so we know when to fight back when people are trying to
Yes.
take this from us, when they're trying to control not just what they read, but what I can read, what you can read. That's when we get into tyranny. So it's always a relevant conversation. It always has been because people have always tried to control what ideas other people can interact with. And that is really the mark of freedom, whether we are free to explore ideas that are against the common ideas, right? True freedom is freedom extended to those who hold differing viewpoints from you. So that is definitely something I wanted to explore in here. And I went to a school called St. John's College, which is the great book school, where for 4 years you read original texts and talk about them. So in many ways, the conversations Corinne has in her classes, which we see a couple snippets here and there, are the conversations I got to have in college.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so it was a love letter to St. John's, those chapters. And I just got a review from Booklist that talks it has a line in there about how it's like a love story to dialogue and conversation. And I'm like, oh,
Wow, they got it. They
they
got
got it.
it. Wow. And it's so relevant today.
Yeah,
It is just so relevant because we have a lot of bombastic rhetoric that is
we do.
going out there, but they're not able to defend it.
Yeah,
They don't know how to defend it except through violence. And to
yeah,
be able to sit down and have those discussions and within the context of history, within the context of society, and then to be able to have a meaningful discussion. Wow.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, today in all of history, but we see it today too. You see this attempt on both sides of everything, right? You see it on both political sides, you see it on different religious sides, you see it everywhere.
Mhm.
Everyone hates it when someone tries to curtail their point of view, but
Mhm.
they're pretty
Mhm.
quick to try to shut down the opposing point of view. And that's why I have been saying in recent months, I am a champion of the books I hate because it is so important to be able to read
Mm.
those books that are not my books. They're not books love the ideas behind, but being able to read them is so crucial. And I have learned more probably from the books I hate than from the books I love because they show me why people think that way. And they help me understand that they're still
Mhm.
people, even if they think that way. And how to combat it and how to engage with it in a way that says, well, let me show you why this strikes me as wrong without attacking, right? Like just
Right.
opening that dialectic. And so, yeah, that's been my thing in recent months is unabashed champion of the books I hate. And that's something that the Nazis were not
I
doing.
love
They were not championing the books they hate. They were abolishing them.
they
And
were
so this is,
burning them. Yeah.
yeah, a direct answer to that.
Yeah. Mm, that is so good. It's so potent. And it takes courage to do that and to be able to hear opposing thoughts and to be able to take them and dissect them and pull relevant things from it
Yeah.
and then try to
Yeah.
come up with.
Yeah. I think so often today, even when we have a conversation, our goal is to win instead of to learn. And this is the difference between actual conversation and shouting matches. And we have a lot of shouting matches going on in the world right now. And
A
yeah,
lot.
if we could just step back and say, you know what? Even if we don't disagree, we can learn from each other. Not even just agreeing to disagree, but just learn from each other. Then the conversation becomes a whole different thing. And it becomes a blessing, even when you're talking to people you have very little in common with.
Yeah, because then you become human
Yeah.
to the person.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that Nazis did is they dehumanized.
Dehumanized.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what to say, Roseanna. What are you going to write next?
Next up is another World War II from Tyndale called The Spy Keeper of Marseille. It's set in this same world. It's not a direct sequel. Like Corinne shows up in one chapter in it just to
Cool.
establish this is the same world. We're kind of working parallel to each other. But the next one is actually based on the true story of Marie Madeleine Forcade. I have changed her name because I am changing her love story. But it's based on her real life, which she was the female head of the largest intelligence network in France during World War II. And this is just unheard of because it was made up first of military men and they do not answer to women. But the one brought her in and
Well,
put her in charge. So
yeah.
she was le patron, the boss. And so it's based on her real adventures, but condensed with, we're going to take 5 characters and smoosh them into one because this was a 1,000-person network. And that's just a few too many characters, My,
Yeah.
my editor's like, maybe trim them back. So, yeah. So it will be coming next summer. And it is the intelligence network, but from the unique perspective of the role of arts in gathering intelligence. Specifically, a musician is my hero. He is a concert pianist, and he is her liaison to the arts. So put in charge of getting a bunch of artists from all different artistic communities on board with gathering intelligence from their new Nazi patrons.
Brilliant. 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 Your brain. I love
Is
your brain.
very busy.
Yeah. 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 I'm still having a hard time with a weekly newsletter. Anyway, so there will be a blog interview, and we have questions that you've answered for that. But for the video, I like to do something a little fun. And one of the questions I asked Roseanna is, what is your superpower?
Yeah, so I will first confess that fun questions freak me out because I consider myself one of the most boring people in the world. So I'm asking my friends, going, "What is interesting about me?" And they made me sound a lot less boring than I really am. But for superpower, I eventually landed on optimism because I am an annoyingly optimistic person. If you ask those who are less optimistic than me. So, a story I love to tell is my nickname is Ro, and you might think that that's just short for Rosanna, which would make sense, but no, it is not that. When I first started working with a critique group, these ladies very quickly picked up on the fact that I am an eternal optimist. And they would joke about, well, just, ask Rosanna her opinion and you'll get like the ultimate optimist view. And I'm like, yeah, optimism is my middle name. And they're like, sweetie, I don't think it's your middle name. I think it's your first name. So we had to compromise and say it was hyphenated, Rosanna hyphen optimist. So for a week or so, I would sign all my emails to them, Rosanna hyphen optimist, but that was too long. So I shortened it to R hyphen O. And then we just dropped the hyphen and it was capital RO. And then it just went to regular old Ro. So I now answer to this, and these friends still call me that and have probably forgotten that it was originally a hyphenated name because I am that much of an optimist.
I have to tell you, when I heard that you're an eternal optimist, is I was thinking of like a bionic cheerleader. so, so yeah, that you just go around Miss Sunshine and come
Pretty
on.
much. Yep, that's me.
I love it. Well, on that note, our giveaway this month is a soft cover copy of The Collector of Burned Books. And it won't be an advanced reader's copy, which is what I have. but it'll be the actual book that since it is now out. And we want to say a special thanks to Isabella of Tyndale. She's a sweetie pie.
He is.
Now, how many viewers out there would like a copy of this book? And I have to tell you, you have to go to page 224, actually 223. Okay. Anyway, if you're looking for opportunities to increase your chances of winning this book, basically look down in the description section and over in the blog. But basically, it's like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, as long as you like and share and put your little name, your profile name of your social media, then we pick and choose the winner. Now the drawing will be held Friday, July 11th, and only entries from the contiguous US. Sorry about that, Alaska and Canada, Alaska and Hawaii. So sad. Anyway, so Ro, do you have any words, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I'm leaving everyone with this one with the challenge of read dangerously. Go out and read things that you might not have picked up before. Read things to challenge yourself and to grow. Read things people don't want you to read and see why. See what you can learn from them.
Ooh, very brave. Very brave. I don't know if I'm going to do that though. Yeah, I read like 50 odd books a year, so I don't know if I can do. Well, maybe I will be challenged. Maybe
You might at least pick up a different genre that you wouldn't usually pick up, you know?
Well,
Try
since I
something just a
started
little
doing,
outside the box.
yeah, since I started doing this, I read spec. I read, I never liked romance. So I read that. And of course, and I wouldn't read historical. And if it hadn't been Kathy and Carrie, I I would never have read, and now I love
You
it. So
there? You have already been reading dangerously, stretching those horizons.
I have.
You have.
Yay! Well, my dear viewers, thanks for watching the 54th episode of A2A. And one last reminder to be sure and check out that description section. There's going to be all sorts of great links down there. And if you sign up for Rose newsletter, then you're going to get a special little story. And also just a reminder that I'll have my social media links down there too. And we love to have followers and people who keep in touch with us. We just love that. So now next month, our A2A featured author is the inspiring and best-selling award-winning author, Cheryl Gray Bostrom. And if you aren't familiar with Cheryl, you are going to really want to check out this interview. So, Roseanna, thank you so much. You have been a fantastic guest. I have really
Thank you so much
enjoyed
for
this.
having me.
I've really enjoyed this. And readers, thanks again for stopping by. And we'll see you next month. But in the meantime, God bless and keep reading.